All right. Hi, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about Lab 7, which is on eyewitness memory and then also the Tukey's post hoc test in SPSS. Um, so hopefully this will be pretty quick. Okay, so what is eyewitness memory? Eyewitness memory is a person's episodic memory for a crime or other dramatic event that he or she has witnessed. Eyewitness testimony is often relied upon in the judicial system. It can refer to an individual's memory for a face, where they are required to remember the face of their perpetrator, just as an example. Um, However, there are some major problems with eyewitness memory. Please watch this video. It's in perusal. It's great. It summarizes a landmark study conducted by Loftus and Palmer in 1974, which found eyewitness testimony to be very unreliable depending on the type of language used when asking participants to recount the details of a car crash. So, just as like a summary, basically, they showed a video of a car crash, and then about 10 minutes later, they asked people, how fast do you think the car was going when it touched the other car? How fast do you think and then they asked a different person, how fast do you think the car was going when they hit the other car? And then a different person, how fast do you think the car was going when they smashed into the other car? And you may not be surprised to find out that when they say, when they touched the car, a participant said 10 miles an hour. When they hit the car, participants said like 30. And when they smashed, participants said like 50. I don't know if those are the actual numbers, but like it was significantly different that depending on the wording that the prosecutor, quote unquote, or the person testing the witness said, um, far different results were found. So the study just goes to show that the way that you ask a question can drastically change the way that a person views a situation that they saw firsthand. Um, as you can imagine, this is very important, especially today, and it has a lot of real world implications. So definitely watch the video. I also suggest reading the paper. Super interesting. So in that light, um, to talk about more about eyewitness memory, we had you all complete the Be a Juror task on that APA website. Um, so you were all asked to participate in this task to test the effects of eyewitness testimony. So there are three different groups that you could have been randomly assigned to, which is a group where there was no eyewitness, a group where there was an unrefuted eyewitness, and then another group which was an eyewitness that was discredited. And it was meant to gauge your jury response on a verdict of not guilty to guilty, 1 to 7. So we're going to, in lab on Tuesday, use the actual data from our class. I don't know what it looks like. I haven't looked at it yet. And then we're going to see what we found. Should be fun. Now, for the purpose of these slides, I used a random sample that they had on the APA website. I think it was from like Brooklyn College or something. Uh, so all these tests are using their data, not your data. So now we're going to move into Tukey's post hoc test. So what is Tukey's post hoc test? Well, we have discussed ANOVAs, which is a way to determine if the differences between two or more groups is significant. I think we messed around with it for the pain as a social glue SPSS file, where you run it and it gives you the same results as a t-test if there's two groups. Great. But where an ANOVA really shines is if you have two or more groups. So you can see the difference in this scenario between the no eyewitness groups, the eyewitness or the discredited and the unrefuted. So if we were to run a regular ANOVA, a one-way ANOVA, which I've taught you before, on this data set, we would get the results that right here, it's significant. So there's a significant difference between these three groups, but there's three groups. Does it show here anywhere where the difference lies? There are three possible outcomes where this difference is. Either the eyewitness group differs from the no eyewitness group differs from the unrefuted eyewitness group, the no eyewitness group differs from the discredited eyewitness group, or the unrefuted witness differs from the discredited eyewitness. How do we know? There's no way to tell currently. However, that's the whole point of a post hoc test. Post hoc roughly means after the fact. So you want to run this test if you find significant results after you run your ANOVA. That way you can see where the difference is. I'm going to teach you how to do a post hoc test, but there's also a video that teaches you how to do it right here. If you'd rather watch a stranger than watch your lovely lab TA. So you should watch it anyways, though. I'm just joking. Okay. So how do you run a post hoc test? You would go, it's the same way you would run an ANOVA. So you'd go to Analyze, Compare Means, One-Way ANOVA, and then you put your dependent variable in the dependent list, and you put your independent variable in the factor list, which is what we've always done. But here is where things get spicy. You go to the post hoc button, post hoc right here, and you click it, and you get this nonsense, a whole bunch of different options that you want to choose. Look at all these different post hoc tests. I don't know what any of these are other than Tukey's. So neither should you. So we're just going to use Tukey's right now. So you want to select Tukey, and then you want to make sure that the significance level is at 0.05. It's the default, but you always want to check. That means that we're looking to get a result that if it's less than 0.05, it's significant. It's the p-value. We've talked about this a bunch. I just realized I gesture a lot when I do these recordings, which none of you can see. My hands are going all over the place. Anyhow, so the results. So when you run this, it spits out the ANOVA results, which we already had here. So you get the same results, but then it also spits out this multiple comparisons chart, otherwise known as the Tukey's post hoc test. So because the ANOVA was significant, we ran the Tukey's post hoc test. It compares the three groups, and what it shows is the mean difference right here between these three groups. So it shows like the difference between no eyewitness and unrefuted eyewitness, and no eyewitness and discredited. This just goes to show like how much it differs. You don't really have to report on it. What's important right here is the significance value. So you see it's broken up into three groups and how it compares to the other two. So here you'll see that based on the significance value, the no eyewitness group is significantly different than the discredited eyewitness group. And then the unrefuted eyewitness group is significantly different than the discredited eyewitness group. And obviously that means that the discredited eyewitness group is significantly different between the other two. So you want to look at all the p-values that are less than 0.05, and it turns out that we have two pairs. So without running this test, we wouldn't know that those are the two things that are significant. That's why you love post hoc tests. They're great, they're easy to read, they give you a lot more information, and they make your APA write-up so much more interesting. Do you all like my Shutterstock photo of results here? I thought it was pretty nice. There's a little Shutterstock download thing that you can add to PowerPoint. Can't get rid of the words on it, but better than clip art. I'm really getting off topic. Okay, so when you get to the results, the things that you want to keep in mind, the important things for your write-up, are the F value, which is like the ANOVA test statistic, the P value, which was less than 0.01. This was when we ran the ANOVA. Any p-value that's significant, so less than 0.05, you should run the Tukey post hoc test. Now I want to say, you really shouldn't run the post hoc test if the differences aren't significant, because you don't really need to know the differences between the groups. However, if on Tuesday we find out that our results aren't significant, we're still going to run the post hoc test because it's still important for you guys to learn it. But I just want to let you know that you don't have to run it if you don't find significant results, but you do have to run it if you do find significant results. I'll go over that more in person. So these are little acronyms for no eyewitness and discredited eyewitness. You want to write down the mean difference, all this stuff. Just keep in mind all these things, and then you write it into this lovely write-up. An analysis of variance, that's the test. You always want to say the test. Showed that there was a significant difference between eyewitness treatment groups on their jury verdict. And you put the test values here. F, you put the two degrees of freedom, test statistic, p-value. And then you want, say, a post hoc test showed that participants who heard from a discredited eyewitness group differed significantly from both groups that did not hear from an eyewitness. Or both, sorry, I read that weirdly. Differed significantly from both groups that did not hear from an eyewitness and from groups that heard from an unrefuted eyewitness. And you want to put their p-values. So isn't this so interesting when you get to read this? You get to see what the differences are. And then you can discuss the thing that wasn't significant. You can say, well, there was a somewhat large mean difference in jury verdict scores between the no eyewitness and unrefuted eyewitness group. So this one, the difference was not found to be significant. You don't have to talk about results that weren't found to be significant, but when, it doesn't hurt. The end, see, short video. So I forgot to take this slide out. You all already completed it, so excellent. Thank you for completing the Be a Juror activity. I hope it was fun. On Tuesday, the 26th, I think, is the day that we're doing this lab. We're going to go over all of this. I can answer any questions you have on Tukey. We can set aside some time to talk about any last minute questions you might have on the lab report. But yeah, that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all on Tuesday.